Family Core. That's what's left.
Okay. And Canada. Well, Canada was the wrong one.
Maybe we'll have that.
Or Europe.
Right. Welcome to BS with Brad.
And Joe.
BS with Brad. Sorry.
No, you pointed at me. I pointed at you back.
All right, so where do you want to start this time? You want to start on Canada? You want to start on family values? You want to start on...
So let's start on family values.
Okay.
There's a population decline in the U.S.
There is.
And the government's like, the left is wanting to bring in people, no matter if they're criminals or terrorists or whoever, they're just wanting to put people in the U.S. And I believe
I
that's...
think they're trying to buy votes.
Well, I don't think... Yeah, buy votes, but they're also trying to subjugate the people. They've been doing that for years.
Okay.
And I think with voting in Trump and trying to vote different things in, I think we, the people, are trying to take back our own government instead of being for these huge corporations.
If you really want to, if you want to turn the tide of population growth or decline, fix the economy.
You're right. You got to fix, because here's the thing, is like it's getting to the point where like 2-income families can't even afford a home anymore.
Right. And you've got BlackRock and Vanguard that own 28% of American homes.
There you go, the whole corporations. I feel like I'm not against our government, but I'm against our government catering to corporations.
I'm against the whole lobbyist culture.
I'm there too.
Yeah.
Now I'm for, but here's the thing with lobbyist culture, is like I'm also for people who want to save the whales and this and that.
Yeah.
But there's a way of doing that as well.
There is.
You don't need the government to do that.
I feel like, we vote someone into office, like let's say Peter Roskam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We feel that he's, got the values that we want. He's a family man. He's Christian, actually Catholic, I think. But he's just a good guy,
Mm-hmm.
And this was in the 80s, I think, when he first went into Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And just a good guy, down home dude from Naperville, Illinois. And voted him in, and he was all about, I'm gonna look out for you guys. I'm gonna represent this area. And next thing you know, he's voting on things that have absolutely nothing to do with what he said he was going to do, because you've got lobbyists pouring money into the campaigns.
Yeah, and the lobbyists are more of the corporations.
Exactly.
And
the pharmaceutical companies, the healthcare, the health insurance companies, the automotive industry, which, I mean, they can't afford to be lobbying Congress because they just need to be bailed out every 3 freaking years anyway.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's because, and the reason why all these individuals have to be bailed out, the banks have to be bailed out, is because we're failing. Our country is allowing our country to fail because our corporations have moved a lot of our goods and manufacturing overseas.
Right.
Not only that, but they changed a lot of our monetary system. We used to be on a gold standard and we used to be on tariffs. And there used to be no taxation.
Right.
Now we're taxed. And not only are we taxed, but our employers are paying a payroll tax. And it makes it hard for companies to be successful.
It does.
And not only that, but you have companies like Disney at one point was looking into, they had a third-party company come in to do something with their rides and techs and shows.
Mm-hmm.
And they were bringing in people from India to work on those.
Right.
Instead of hiring American citizens and individuals who already have the experience here who can work on those rides, instead of hiring them.
Back in, I don't remember what year it was, 2008 or 10, something like that, somewhere in that range. There was an earthquake in Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
You remember that happening?
Yes.
Okay, so Disney sent the cruise lines their ships to Haiti to offer aid, and they came back full of Haitians.
Mm-hmm.
All those Haitians ended up working for Disney at minimum wage,
Yes.
and they put them in Disney housing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're collecting rent from them, paying the minimum wage. Basically, it's modern day slavery.
Right, and the thing is, these corporations are also getting kickbacks for something with visas and all this other stuff
Yeah.
from the government,
And they're saying that they're helping these Haitians, but no, that was modern day slavery.
and it continues that way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, our country is allowing this to happen because they are wanting us to be subjects. This is what I believe, and the far left of our politicians are wanting that because they want to, like Nancy Pelosi during the COVID lockdowns.
Mhm.
Oh, just stay at home and you have ice cream you could eat and this and that. That's for individuals who could afford that.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Speaking of that, did you hear that Biden just sent out another wave of COVID relief?
yeah, and I think we got more
It's
issues
been
than COVID relief.
4 years?
Where's the relief for North Carolina?
Yeah.
You know,
But he sent out stimulus checks on COVID relief in his last couple of weeks as president. First of all, to who?
it's probably has to do with.
It was like $1.7 billion.
Yeah, that those probably went to medical, like Moderna, first responders, something. It had to go with something. Probably senior citizens.
But it's been 4 years. Nobody needs a COVID stimulus.
No, what we need is we need the government to get out of the way for the American people to work at jobs here at home and create jobs here at home and create companies that want to employ American people.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I fully support the way that Trump has dealt with John Deere.
Yes.
I mean, John Deere was, they were the roll up your sleeves American company, and I'm sorry, but in the last 20 years, they are not the American company.
No.
It's disgusting what they've done.
Well,
They have tarnished the name John Deere so bad.
mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: it's you get a lot of these individuals in these huge corporations, and they're wanting to. They have fiduciary responsibilities. They have to make a profit,
Yeah.
and so they're going to do whatever they can to make that profit to keep the company going.
John Deere posted $29 billion in profits the year before,
well, then that's there's no excuse in that.
and then announced that they're closing the plants in Illinois and Ohio and moving them to Mexico.
Yeah,
When they posted record profits.
yeah, that's so they could have more profits with cheaper labor in Mexico.
Exactly.
Well, that's fine. We'll just pull up those tariffs so when they come across that border, they're going to be more expensive, and we the people can't pay for it, or the farmers that will pay for it.
I'll tell you what, another company needs to come forward. There are other companies that manufacture tractors,
There are
and I'm sorry, but
Husqvarna. There's all kinds of other companies than John Deere.
yeah, I'm just like expletive John Deere.
Yeah, and that's
And the whole right to repair thing, they're just not a good company. Just not an
No.
American company.
well, that's the thing is there's American companies that aren't American.
Right.
They're more of I don't know what they are anymore.
I mean,
But-
Harley Davidson even tried to go woke.
Yes, Indian motorcycles started getting a lot of people who were into American motorcycles screw Harley Davidson. I'm gonna go buy a freaking Indian.
Yeah. Their
And-
sales skyrocketed because
they're
Harley
still
Davidson just started getting stupid.
Oh, they are stupid. They weren't stupid. They've been stupid for a while. I
Yeah.
used to support Harley, and Harley did come back, and they did really focus on American, and they focused on American quality.
Well, this new CEO is a moron.
Yes, it's a lot of these head of these corporations, these CEOs and these chair members that they're not focusing on their values. They're focusing on, ooh, how can I make more money? Companies need to focus on their values.
Are they getting? Is there some kind of a government kickback for these DEI programs? Is that what's going on?
Yes, there is kickbacks for DEI.
That needs to stop because DEI is racism.
Well, it's kickbacks not necessarily from the government, but I believe from banking organizations and also foreign
Because it's a globalist agenda.
globalist agenda.
Because if you divide the people, they're easier to conquer.
That is correct. And you know, you talking about DEI with racism, it's not just race. It's like in California, there was a housing project for individuals who were homeless.
Okay.
So they talked to individuals who are homeless. Okay, we could try to get you in a home. Is there anything else you're having issues with? You know, like substance abuse. Yes, but I'm drug free. Don't tell them that. Tell them you're on drugs.
I know for a fact that in Orlando, if you show up at the Salvation Army, the Union Mission, or any of those facilities, and you're looking to spend the night, if you can't pass a drug test, you're not getting help from them.
You're not. But in certain organizations, they're like,
Well, they might let you spend the night, but they're not going to give you any help.
they're not going to give you any help. And that's because a lot of these Salvation Armies and everything else like that, they're very much faith-based.
They are.
And we were...
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm fully on board with this. If you can't pass a drug test, you should not be getting support.
Nope. But you have government agencies.
There should be some kind of help for them to get off the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the Union Mission's problem.
No. And that's the thing is the government, like they'll get this spending bill from Congress and all this other stuff, which a lot of those bills, it trickles down all this money. It goes to, okay, well, let's create this. Let's hire a bunch of our friends, and they'll be this NGO organization, and we're going to give them a ton of money from the government, and then they're going to be like, oh, cool, we're going to build houses. So they go to build houses, and then they go to fill them, and they're trying to figure out ways to continue with the homelessness and these homeless issues. So they're trying to make a criteria for them to fit. Oh, if they're employed and homeless and drug free and you know are married but they don't have children, we're not going to give them this home because they don't have children.
Right.
We're not going to give them this home because they're employed. We're not going to give them this home because they're not on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They want the filthiest of the filthiest to have these homes. Which, do you think they're going to care about the home? Do you think they're going to cherish that home? Do you think they're going to try to create a family with that home?
Yeah, that's not the way Habitat for Humanity works, is it?
No. But also Habitat for Humanity is an NGO, but a lot of their money comes from corporations and churches and volunteers.
Yeah. How do they find the people that they're going to donate the house to?
That may be the NGO that we're talking about that is looking for this drug addict individual who abuses whatever.
So this beautiful home that Jimmy Carter helped to build, because that's what he did after he was president.
Mm-hmm.
He built a lot of homes.
Yes.
I mean, Trainwreck as a president,
Mm-hmm.
but after his presidency, he was a big supporter and out there swinging hammers. Actually swinging hammers, building homes for Habitat for Humanity.
Right, but he also probably was,
Because he was still pretty young too.
yeah, and he was also probably doing that to fundraise.
He was.
And and he probably has people in that organization that are friends and family that are getting.
But seriously, he wasn't just showing up for an hour for
No.
a photo op. He was out there working.
And I'm not blaming him for trying to build homes for individuals who are in need. I think we need to help those individuals that are in need. But what I'm seeing is they're giving these incentives to individuals who are not trying to help themselves. The government's almost telling these individuals, don't help yourself, otherwise we're not going to give you these things.
Okay, so average rent for, let's say, a 1-bedroom apartment in Orlando, all right, is $1,600.
That's now. And what was it before
Right now.
COVID, do you think? Probably $1,000?
Yeah, it was around $1,000.
Yeah.
So 1,600 times 3, because they say that you don't want to be more than a third of your income in rent. So that means you have to be bringing home $4,800 a month in order to be able to afford that apartment.
That is not easy to do.
That means that you can't afford that apartment unless you're bringing home $57,600. In order to bring home that, your salary needs to be $70,000 a year.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of jobs that have that. And that's why you have a lot of people who have roommates.
Yeah.
And that's for a 1-bedroom apartment.
That's a 1-bedroom.
So you're looking at a couple of individuals, like 2 individuals, to afford a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
They could never grow a family in that 1-bedroom apartment. Or they could, but it's not.
They can't afford kids.
They can't afford kids. They can't even probably afford a car.
Right.
They probably are either using public transportation or old beat up clunker that one of them have that they can barely afford.
Yeah. They went out and spent $4,000 on a car that's got 140,000 miles. And like most of the people that I know, that's what they're driving.
Yeah.
Nobody buys new cars.
Not anymore. Before COVID, things were a lot more affordable because we were talking houses or apartments were about $1,000,
Yeah.
and cars were a little bit cheaper, and you could find a good used car for a cheap price. You would be making payments on it,
Yeah, I mean,
but things were
a
doable to
luxury
survive.
apartment in 2019, a luxury apartment was $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
Now the average is $1,600.
And I think a lot of this has to do with housing, with like Section 8 housing, because an apartment complex wants to get Section 8 housing credits.
Well, yeah, because they get subsidized by the government then.
Yes. And do you think those individuals that are living in those apartments, do they care about trying to come up with money? Because they don't have to.
They don't
It's
have
the
to.
government that's paying for it.
Right.
And so they're going to do whatever they can to stay into that
Yeah.
program. And that's where I have a problem with these programs, because it's
and
not.
You also have the other program, not just Section 8, but there's other programs like the rent controlled, where it's not like New York rent control. What in Orlando, what it is it's a limited income.
Mhm.
So you can't make more than $40,000 a year in order to live in these apartments.
Mhm.
And they're nice apartments. Like there's the ones right by Mirage on Gore. Those are all, you have to be lower income in order to live there.
All right.
And you can't even rent there if you make too much money,
Right.
because they're getting a government kickback for every single one of those apartments.
Yep. And so if you have majority of the populace on some sort of program that the only way you can survive as an individual is by getting income from the government.
Mm-hmm.
The government's going to go solvent because are you insolvent? Because how are you going to be able to produce a product that the government can tax?
Right.
Or you consume a product that the government can tax without them already paying for.
Right.
That's why I'm saying the government is trying to create subjects,
They are.
because they don't care. Because they're, somebody was going to say, is you're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the government's trying to do. They're trying to put you into a room and give you public transportation And
I had heard this was a couple of years ago. I had heard I think it was an economist that was talking about car ownership and automotive insurance, and basically saying that within the next 15 years, it'll be a luxury to own a car.
it will be, especially with artificial intelligence and with public transportation. I could see things as a lot of automation going in. Like in Europe, you see a lot of rail cars that are electrified that run on like train rails in the city, and the operator just has a switch. It goes and stops, goes and stops.
So at Heathrow Airport, they have what they call pods, where you walk up to it and there's a kiosk, and you tell the kiosk where you're parked, and then you get in, put all your luggage in the pod, and then you just push the button to close the door, and then it goes. There's no driver. It just takes you to your car. To your lot.
Right, and Elon Musk even knows this.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have a subscription service, probably going to be Uber or Lyft, and they're going to bring a pod to your house.
Yeah.
You're going to get in with some individuals unless you got some money. If you got some money, you're going to have your own car that's going to pull up to your house that you pay a subscription to. You're going to get in, and it's going to take you where you need to go.
Right.
And the pod's going to take you where you need to go. And then or it'll probably take you to another station, and then at that station you're going to get on a bigger pod, and it's probably going to be a bus or a train, and then it's going to take you to near your destination, and then you're going to get into smaller pods to get to your destination or your workplace, and it's probably going to be work sponsored, because you're going to be a cog in a factory or in some place to produce something, and
You'll be a number.
You're going to be a number. You're going to eat Soylent Green.
Do you
where we're
remember?
going.
Do you remember the Robert De Niro movie Brazil?
Brazil, yes.
Great movie, by the way. Most people I talk to about that don't remember the movie. But
Yeah, we are going to an Orwellian future if we don't combat it.
yes.
So one of the things that I see
Just
that
remember to fill out your 27B stroke 6.
yeah, 1984. But how we combat this? How can we combat this? Tell me what you believe, and I'll tell you what I believe.
I'm really not sure. I mean, we got to fight the globalist agenda.
That's why I'm for Trump getting out of NATO. That's the biggest thing that would take out the globalist agenda.
Get out of NATO and kick the United Nations out of Europe.
And try to go back to the gold standard before any other country does. I could see China going back to the gold standard before anyone else.
China's having some severe economic difficulties right now, and it's highly possible that they're going to be entering into a war just because they don't have a choice.
Well,
They're failing.
they're failing, and that I want to talk about that in another topic.
Okay.
But another segment.
Yeah.
But how I feel that we could combat this is several different ways. I think we need to work on our economy, and so we need to elect individuals in there that are for we the people.
Yeah.
And not for these Orwellian organizations.
It starts grassroots. You've got to fix your backyard and talk about your county commissioners and your sheriff and elect the people in that local agenda first.
Yes.
Get the local people that you need in place, then work on state. And the federal government at that point will take care of itself. If the state and the local governments are operating the way that they should and representing the people, then the federal government doesn't have the power.
It doesn't have the power. You're right. And then another way to fight it, and we're talking financially, is this is the way our country used to run, is multi-generational homes.
Yeah, well, that's China.
That's China, but it's also how we did things here.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I say that is because people are struggling. Everybody's struggling. If you can, that's why you have 30-year-olds living in mom and dad's basement still.
Right.
But We need to go back to multi-generational homes for a temporary period, to hopefully build growth and financial wealth.
The stigma of the 40-year-old virgin living in his mother's basement.
We need to fight that.
And that's not the case anymore. Now it's the 40-year-old and his wife with their 2 kids living in mom's basement.
Right. And we need to not stigmatizing living with family anymore, because I think coming together is a good way to strengthen values. Another way is our government hopefully going to a gold standard and getting off of using the people as an income and go to tariffs.
In order for us to go to a gold standard, we have to abolish the Fed.
And I totally believe in that.
Which, who controls the Federal Reserve Bank?
Banks.
Right. And he who controls the money controls the government.
Yep. And that's why I think if Trump went to tariffs and cut taxes, that's a something to try to fix a lot of that.
Yeah.
And also prevent our government from spending, like you were saying, grassroots up.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have to try to help each other out as man. If you see somebody in really need, now don't.
I understand. Watching county commissioner meetings is really boring.
It is extremely boring, and it is hard to get involved.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but we have to try to do something on that.
It would be nice if they would give us cliff notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
make it easier for us to follow it.
And I think that's what you and I are trying to do here.
Yeah.
Is we're trying to give cliff notes, trying to awake people, trying to.
I mean,
focus
a lot of the stuff that's going on in Orange County right now is road spending. There's not really any real political issues being discussed in the Orange County Board of Commissioners.
No. I think
very soon there will be, because they're talking. There's going to be discussion about these road takeovers, which another one. I sent you a link. Another one just happened last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was on OBT in Sand Lake.
Yeah, a lot of hooligans are running the roost.
Yeah.
And we were talking about people doing something, saying something. Now, don't be a freaking mercenary and try to go ahead and stop all this.
No, because you just get shot.
Yeah, and also that's not a good thing.
No.
But report it to the cops.
Yeah.
And in situations where there's a huge group, maybe taking a video and not committing crimes, not incentivizing the crimes,
right.
but maybe taking a video and then posting it and then
make sure you get the faces,
shaming them.
Get the faces of the people so that the Orange County sheriffs can follow up.
And tags. And shame them.
Yeah.
We need to bring shaming back.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how is it? I don't understand how. I mean, yeah, okay. When we were kids, we messed around with cars. We did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was going out to the country road and drag racing, or messing around in a parking lot had no cars in it. We would never have taken over a busy intersection.
Well, not only that, but we valued our cars a little bit more.
This is true.
We didn't want to wreck them. We didn't want to, and tires are expensive.
Yeah.
We did show off to try to, get the prom queen.
Yeah. I saw a video recently of a guy that walked into a dealership and wanted to buy a $160,000 car with 400 credit score.
And they probably did it.
Nope.
No, they didn't. Oh,
They
that's
didn't.
good.
They did not. He was livid and screaming at them like crazy, but the agent, the salesperson was just like, "What do you want me to do?"
Right.
You're the one that created this mess, not me.
Right, but I think that also goes back to the whole DEI. Maybe certain individuals have been approved that maybe shouldn't have been approved for some of these vehicles, and they've been
Drive through Paramore.
Yeah,
You know, there's houses that are falling apart with half the windows boarded up, and a red-eye Challenger in the driveway.
well, that may also go back to they can't afford to fix the home. They may not own the home, so they don't want to invest in the home, but they can invest in this and own this, and they're probably trying to create some sort of pride in that, which
It's a little backwards because the car's not an investment.
No,
A car is a liability.
it is, but they see it as an investment.
They're wrong.
They're wrong.
They need to read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes. You just need to invest in something reliable and
The car's got to get you from A to B. That's all it's got to do.
Yeah.
Granted, when I was 16, I didn't really fully understand that.
A lot of young people don't. But with that, is there anything more you want to talk about in this segment? But yeah, we want to try to grow families. We want to try and instill values, and just be good.
Yeah.
With that, like, share, subscribe,
Please do.
leave a comment. Off to the next segment.